What's up YouTube? Alex here, and in this video, I'm gonna be breaking down how I personally made my first $10,000 profit betting on sports and how anybody can do this. You know, if you have Wi-Fi and a couple online sports books, you can follow this exact same process. So at this point, you know, I can barely remember the last day where I didn't bet on sports. You know, for probably the past 5 years, I've gambled every single day. You can see on Pickett Sports, which is the verified bet tracker that I use, you basically connect your sports books. It shows you a bunch of analytics, your profit and loss, stuff like that. I have over $700,000 tracked profit on Pickett since I started using the app about maybe 3 or 4 years ago. So my net profit, because Pickett doesn't even work with all sports books, at this point is well over $1 million. But what I want to do is kind of go back to step one. You know, if I was a brand new sports bettor and I wanted to get started, how would I make my first 10 grand? What is the exact things I would do to make my first $10,000 profit betting on sports? And that's the point of this video. So without further ado, let's get into it. So if I was just starting to bet on sports for the first time, the first thing I do is take advantage of the easy money, sportsbook sign-up bonuses, deposit matches, stuff like that. That's actually how I initially got hooked on sports betting in the first place. But regardless, I have a video on YouTube that kind of breaks down how if you went to every state in the US and you completed every book sign-up bonus, a lot of these books have deposit matches, insured bets. So if your first bet loses, you get your money back. If you went to every single state, took advantage of all the sportsbook sign-up offers in each state, you would walk away with over $18,000 profit, and you could do it completely risk-free. And I know that sounds crazy, but there are hundreds of sports books. Everybody wants a piece of the pie. So when I started sports betting, I was living in Pennsylvania, and 2 of the first 3 states to legalize sports betting were Pennsylvania and New Jersey. And I basically lived on the border of Pennsylvania and New Jersey. So what got me hooked is I'd be driving around, driving into work, and I'd see a huge FanDuel, banner, new customers, deposit $1,000, get $1,000 for free. So ultimately one day I just started talking to people that I worked with and asked them, do any of you guys bet on sports? Do any of you guys know, are these offers a complete scam, or can I actually turn them into money? And basically I had someone just kind of run through how lucrative these sign-up bonuses actually can be. And that's really when I started sports betting. I signed up for BetMGM, FanDuel, DraftKings, did all of the sign-up bonuses in mathematically optimal ways. And again, we have YouTube videos. I've done tons of YouTube videos that break down how to maximize your profits from these sign-up bonuses and convert sign-up bonuses into risk-free cash. So if you have any questions about sportsbook sign-up bonuses, let me know. I'm not gonna be able to run through each book in this video. There's hundreds of sports books in the US. Every state, sports betting legalization is really weird regulation because every state has different books. So like, for example, in Texas, you don't have FanDuel or DraftKings, but you do have Fluff and Rebet, which are 2 sweepstakes books that are available in most states. So long story short, depending on where you're located, it's gonna affect what books you have access to, and therefore what sign-up bonuses you can take advantage of. Long story short, take advantage of the easy money. There was a time in my life when I'd literally travel to different states. I went to Colorado solely for the purpose of taking advantage of all the sportsbook sign-up offers because Colorado had a ton of sports books and all of these books were running super lucrative deposit matches or insured bets. So for example, Sports Illustrated, which was a new book that launched in Colorado. I haven't been back to Colorado, so I'm not even sure if Sports Illustrated is still a sports book there. But at the time, Sports Illustrated had a $7,500 risk-free bet. So basically, you can place a bet for $7,500, and if your bet loses, they give you your money back, which is insane. So basically, if you want to take these insured bets, these risk-free bets, and convert them into cash, you can hedge, right? You can hedge the Sports Illustrated sign-up bonus against another book. So for example, you could bet, the Rockets on Sports Illustrated, go over to FanDuel, hedge in a proper proportion, and guarantee a risk-free profit of thousands of dollars. So I went to Colorado, I took advantage of this sign-up bonus, and that one sports book, Sports Illustrated, paid for my entire trip. The flight, the hotels, all the drinks I bought, all that sort of stuff. So long story short, there's a lot of real money you can make just taking advantage of these sportsbook sign-up offers. So I currently live in Virginia, which is one of the best states possible for online sports betting, just because so many books are available. So like, for example, on DraftKings, what I help every single one of my friends do is get $1,000 for free from DraftKings. You can see DraftKings has a 20% deposit match up to $1,000. So basically, if you deposit $5,000, you'll get $1,000 for free. Granted, there's a playthrough requirement, like you have to bet through your money a certain amount of times. But you gotta remember, like, you're already going to need these sports books anyways for the sharp, profitable betting strategies that we're gonna talk about later in the video, like arbitrage, positive EV. So you're already gonna need these books anyways to make money sports betting. So you might as well take full advantage and maximize their sign-up bonus offers. So even in a state like Texas, right? Texas doesn't even have regulated sports books. It's mainly just DFS books like Underdog Fantasy and Prize Picks and Better Picks. Even in a state like Texas, there's an easy $2,000 you can make in sign-up bonuses. For example, Underdog Fantasy, which is a really popular book, they have an $1,000 deposit match. Right? So literally, if you deposit the proper amount of money, you're gonna make $1,000 for free on Underdog Fantasy, which is pretty insane. So even if you're in a state, right? Because I'll hear a lot of excuses from people, from friends of mine, stuff like that, which is just like, I'm not sure if this is for me. You're in Virginia, you have a lot more sports books. I'm in Texas, I don't have a ton of books. You can still make at least $2,000 profit pretty easily, regardless of whatever state you're in, Texas, Florida, Montana, whatever, right? It doesn't matter. Some states are better than others, but who cares? That's always how it's gonna be. And again, if you wanted to, you could literally make well over $10,000 profit just by taking a little road trip. Right? Between Virginia, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey alone, those three states, there's over $10,000 you can make, a new customer can make in sign-up bonus profits if you just do the promos in a mathematically optimal way. So it's real money, right? This is no joke. But let's just be conservative. Let's be very, very conservative and say you're in the worst possible state. Your first $2,000 profit at the minimum, again, this is the minimum, your first $2,000 profit, the easiest money you'll ever make is gonna come from these sign-up bonuses, deposit matches, stuff like that. So on sportsbook sign-up bonuses, I'll get this question all the time, like, why would books give out free money? How is this not a complete scam? And basically for these sports books, it's just a marketing cost. Right? There are hundreds of sports books. Everybody, now that sports betting is legal in the US, the Supreme Court ruling overturned it in 2018. Everybody wants a piece of the pie, so hundreds of sports books have launched. BetMGM, Fanatics, FanDuel, literally hundreds of companies have tried to start sports books. And all of these books are in ruthless competition for new customers, so they need to stand out. Right? It's kind of like a restaurant, giving out free appetizers, and their hope is that you keep coming back to the restaurant and spending money. So sports books like DraftKings, they know, hey, we'll give people $1,000 to sign up and $1,000 sign-up bonus. Most people, they're not even gonna put in the full amount of money to get the $1,000. A lot of people are gonna sign up for DraftKings, put in $20, and DraftKings is barely giving them anything for free. Right? But these books know if they get a customer, 97% of sports bettors are really unprofitable. They're gonna make it back pretty quickly off the average customer. Not necessarily off you, definitely not off of me, but these books know long-term, they're gonna make a lot of money, even if they're giving people $100, $200, whatever, to sign up. It's just a marketing cost for these sports books. The second thing I wanted to mention is, as a sports bettor, you need to be using multiple books in the first place. That's why it's a no-brainer. All of these sports books are super regulated. Your money's safe. There's nothing to worry about. But why do you need multiple sports books, right? Like, for example, I only have one bank account. Why do I need 20, right? I get that question all the time. And basically in the US, every sports book wants to be unique, so they all set their own odds. So the entire sports betting market is extremely fragmented and inefficient because you have hundreds of books all running around setting their own odds. So as an example, here's a play I locked in on FanDuel just now. I took Garcia to record an RBI at plus 200 odds. So on FanDuel, I'm betting 100 to win 200 in profit. No other book is even offering Garcia above like plus 160. So obviously, if I want to bet on Garcia, sports betting is about finding value, getting an edge, finding value in the market. If I want to bet on Garcia, obviously, I'd much rather take him at plus 200, betting 100 to win 200, as opposed to on DraftKings at plus 165, betting 100 to win 165. Making money sports betting, nobody's gonna win every bet. It boils down to getting an edge and finding value in the market. So I actually put together this little screenshot, right? Because every bet, this is sports betting 101, you have to be doing this if you wanna make money, is you need to make sure every single bet you lock in, you're getting the best possible odds. So for example, just a simple example, let's say in a year, you go 500 and 500 and your unit size is $100. So you have 500 wins, 500 losses. Okay, well here's your net profit depending on the odds you get, right? If you're betting at minus 120, you're gonna lose over $8,000. If you're betting at plus 120, you're gonna make over $10,000. So again, sports betting isn't a get-rich-quick scheme. The point of this content isn't to be like, hey, here's how you can turn $10 into $1 million. Sports betting is a grind. It requires work. It requires squeaking out edges, taking advantage of profitable promos, and doing that consistently to build your bankroll. But the first thing you gotta be doing is making sure every bet you lock in has the best possible value, so you're gonna need multiple sports books anyways. So within just your first few days of sports betting, you should be able to make, again, it's a conservative number, at least $2,000 from these sportsbook sign-up bonuses. Again, $2,000 is a conservative number, but how do we go from being up $2,000 profit off sign-up bonuses to $10,000 profit? And I'm gonna talk about 4 books, only 4 books. I'm focusing on these 4 books because they're available in basically every state, you know, Texas, Florida, Virginia. They're just available in the most states, you know, compared to other books. So basically everybody can use them. And the 4 books are Fluff and Rebet, which are known as sweepstakes sports books. And then the next 2 are ProfitX and NoVig. So ProfitX and NoVig are exchanges. So there's no limits. You'll never get bet sizes cut down on NoVig or ProfitX. They're peer-to-peer betting exchanges, which means you're betting against other people. You're not even betting against, you know, the house, right? Like when I place a bet on DraftKings Sportsbook and my bet loses, if I place an $1,000 bet, you know, on the Celtics to win the championship and my bet loses, I basically made DraftKings richer by $1,000. On the other hand, on these peer-to-peer betting exchanges, you're betting against other people. The exchanges simply facilitate trading between people. So if I lose $1,000 on ProfitX, somebody else made my money, right? Somebody else made $1,000 off of me. So ProfitX and NoVig are really critical books because they're amazing for arbitrage betting. Every single person, in my opinion, right? And this is how I started sports betting. It's how I made well over my first $10,000 profit I made $40,000 with this strategy in just a few months, is arbitrage betting. Arbitrage betting is a risk-free betting strategy. You'll see tons of people on social media talking about arbitrage betting, and people are located in all different states. They have all sorts of sports books available. So for example, you can see this guy, he's in Texas, and he made thousands of dollars last month with risk-free profit arbitrage betting. So basically, I explained earlier, the betting market is super fragmented, super inefficient. All of these books are setting their own odds, their own lines. Arbitrage is when two sports books have such different odds that you can bet equal and opposite outcomes on two books to guarantee a risk-free profit. So I give out arbitrage bets all the time on my live streams, on social media. Here's a simple example that I gave out on Twitter where I'm making $22.68 risk-free. So basically, Rebet, which is a sweepstakes book available in nearly all states, was crossed or arbitrage with no vig. So when the plus number is bigger than the minus number, you can bet equal and opposite outcomes to guarantee a profit. So we can kind of run through the math. Maybe that's a good idea. So on Rebet, I bet the over 229.5 in the Cavs-Pacers game for $1,000. On no vig, I just follow the arbitrage calculator. So on Rebet, I bet $1,000. What this arbitrage calculator does is it tells you, okay, if you bet $1,000 on this book, here's the exact amount you need to hedge and what your risk-free profit will be. So the calculator tells me bet 929.71 on no vig, on the under, the opposite outcome, at plus 110 odds, and you'll make $22.68 risk-free profit. Literally, click a few buttons, bet the over on one book, under on a different book. It takes 20 seconds to lock these plays in. And the second the game ends, I'm up $22.68 risk-free. So the more arbitrage bets you hit, the more money you make. I try to hit, 10 or so arbitrage bets a day to make at least $100 risk-free profit. So, but again, I'm in Virginia, so I probably have more sports books available to me than most of the people listening to this video. But regardless, let's just go through the math. One of these bets will always win, one will lose. So let's say the game goes over. There's 230 points or more, 240, 250, 235, whatever. If the game goes over, on no vig, I'm gonna lose 929.71, right? I bet the under at plus 110 odds following the arbitrage calculator for 929.71. So on no vig, I'm down 929.71. On Rebet, I go up $1,000 times 100 over 105, right? I place this bet at minus 105 odds. So on Rebet, I go up 952.38 in profit. So I profit 952.38 on Rebet. I lose 929.71 on no vig. My net profit is about 22.68. On the other hand, let's say the under hits. There's 29 points or less. On Rebet, I lose $1,000. I bet the over. On no vig, I'm up 929.71 times 1.1, which is 1,022.68. So I'm up 22.68 net profit once again. I don't care what happens. I have no risk. I'm making 22.68 risk-free profit. So basically, let's say you wanted to make $8,000 with arbitrage betting. All you have to do is hit 352 of these arbitrage bets, right? It's hard work. It takes some time. You got to scan. Some arbitrage bets, may only make you $5, even $2. Who cares? It's all free money that you're getting back later that night. That's the power of arbitrage betting, is daily compounding. You're placing these arbitrage bets and you get back your money with a risk-free return just a day, maybe 2 days later if you're betting on the NFL. Because some people will be like, oh, a 1% ROI on an arbitrage bet isn't that good. And it's like 1% a day, right, is pretty good. That would be 365% return in a year from the capital you deploy with arbitrage betting. So basically it's hard work, but every single day I check OddsJam. I try to place as many arbitrage bets as possible. Each one makes me risk-free money. Some make more profit than others. Sometimes I hit arbs for $100 risk-free profit. Other times it's only $5. It's all free money. I try to place as many as I can in a day. We never know when these market inefficiencies are going to occur, so I try to check OddsJam as frequently as possible. That is, in my opinion, the best path to take to make your first $10,000 risk-free profit. You could literally do this in a risk-free profit way. Sports betting. Do the sign-up bonuses, start arbitrage betting. No Vig and ProfitX are exchanges. You'll never get limited. And then after you make $10,000 profit, you're probably gonna feel pretty good, right? Your bankroll is gonna be bigger. You're gonna have high confidence, like, yo, I'm beating these books, like this is awesome. Then maybe you start traveling to other states to do more sign-up bonuses, take a little road trip with your wife, your girlfriend, whatever. And then you can start to get into more complex strategies, in my opinion, like correlation on prize picks, positive EV betting. But I'm a big believer at first, keep it simple, take the easy money, make $10,000 in a low risk way. That's really gonna get your confidence up that, yo, I can beat these sports books. And then from there, you can start to layer in other strategies that maybe have more variance, more ups and downs, like positive EV betting. But anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions, comment them below. Appreciate you giving me your time, and have a great rest of your day.